The Internet of Things is far bigger than what anyone realizes. Microsoft and the Economic Times present the Internet of Things Summit 2016, a platform aimed at tapping untapped potential that can help businesses manifold on a large scale. Through a series of speaker interactions, panel discussions, and live demonstrations, the Internet of Things Summit 2016 highlighted key areas critical to the development and future of IoT for businesses.
When you think about the never-ending pressure that we have in driving all of our business, there's ongoing and very relentless pressure that we all get in terms of how do you reduce your cost and also drive your efficiency. And we're increasingly seeing IoT play a key role here, because one of the things it really enables customers to do is to gain new levels of insights. And this, of course, if leveraged well, can lead to a big competitive advantage relative to the peers that you compete with because of these new insights and the real-time feedback you can get to drive new business opportunities and redefine customer experience. Our vision for IoT is to have really rapid impact for all of our business customers to improve their business operations and insights to customers. There's so many data points that you can gather. So it's not just about deploying new devices, but really connecting everything you already have so you can get deep insights that you otherwise wouldn't have had and incorporating that right into our operations. IoT is not just about endpoint devices, nor is it about connectivity solutions, or nor is it about just a data technology. But you need all of that. You need to be able to have great support for a broad set of devices, great set of capabilities to be able to send data in smart ways, managing bandwidth, managing data connectivity issues, and then to also add great data capabilities, whether it be in core stream analytics type capabilities, or big data analysis, or advanced analytics like machine learning. And you also need to be able to build apps on top of it, so the vendor has to be able to provide a comprehensive development environment to be able to build applications that takes advantage of all this to then essentially integrate it into your line of business solutions.
The Internet of Things is already changing the scope of business across the world. Shedding more light on this was a panel of experts who gave their insights on connecting the world by driving innovation and transforming business models through the Internet of Things.
But I guess now the first question on this, and maybe we could just have, what is your vision or medium to long-term view about IoT in India?
As far as I'm concerned, we've all seen the telecom revolution, and we've seen, how this entire, industry moved not to the laptop, but directly moved to the smartphone. My sense is that, we will see IoT happen much, much faster in India than it has happened anywhere. And it's largely the pressure of revenue and bottom line which will drive that.
Sudeep, just a small summary on the competitive advantage you got because of connected diesel genset. Outside of that great example on the petrochemical, that's really big, really large.
Yes. See, today genset, if you really look at it, is bought by all kind of customers, right from household to small businesses to large industries, hotels, hospitals, airports, everywhere. So when we pitched this product across the spectrum, the appreciation was phenomenal and acceptance was good. But what we are looking at is that we are not just stopping at the genset, because this technology, when you put it on infrastructure equipment, like we are also manufacturing light towers or some other road construction machinery, etc. So when it goes into that kind of platform, we know that the better days would be coming, and we are just setting the stage for that. So I would say commercial viability today doesn't seem so great, but yes, in certain sectors where we have pitched it, it has done wonderful. I mean, both we as well as the customer has derived the value that we were looking forward to.
So a totally different question to you, and it's coming from, I'm still fascinated. And, we believe that it started impacting, IoT started impacting business models and things like that. What's been your experience?
See, I believe, as I was talking about, business models, it's a very, interesting term, when we say business models can also potentially come out from, monetizing your customer service itself. There's the profit center concept that are there. FSI is, or BFSI fundamentally is about services and fundamentally is about the consumer. What we have started realizing is that even though, while in the industrial, IoT space, there is, we are talking about breakthrough, a certain, thing in terms of the fundamentally changing the way a product or a service works. In the services sector, I feel that 80% of the value can be unlocked in the current business models themselves. When you combine the service, just expand the scope of the service. Fundamentally, of course, wearables will change things, connected cars will change things. These are completely new, more disruptive models. But a lot of value can be unlocked with the current process if we just see these devices in a way, that they are connected and they can provide us service.
Brilliant. If anybody in the audience want to ask anything as a question, go ahead, sir.
As a country, do we have the skill sets to actually use the enormous amount of data that will get generated by Internet of Things?
So if we talk about it from a skill and capability perspective, to be able to manage the massive amounts of data that needs to be done, no longer are we talking about actually people doing it. 10 years back in my earlier role, we used to actually do a lot of services around analytics, where we are talking about throwing bodies at a problem, statisticians, trying to see in terms of figuring out patterns. Today, my software runs completely on machine learning algorithms. So from that angle, being able to analyze the data and provide the data, it's not an issue, because we have actually, in some of our cases, we are talking about actually airport of the future, where 1 million devices are going to be connected onto the platform. Being able to manage that is actually relatively much more easier than what it used to be earlier. So that is no longer an issue.
The timing is perfectly right, because there's a whole confluence of events that are happening. The connectivity in India is improving, the cost of the hardware as well as the devices is coming down, and the consumer preferences are changing.
Microsoft and Economic Times Internet of Things Summit 2016 focuses on organizations that are ready to bring in a significant change with their existing investments, people, and infrastructure. This can bring about a real-time change in the course of business.
Unless you have a business, there's no Internet of anything. And the Internet of Things, in our opinion, is not just technology. It's more about linking our own people with the customers. And we in Eureka Forbes have been working towards this on various projects. And our vision has been on how we could provide safe drinking water to every Indian across the country, not just by ourselves, but along with the others in the same business, same industry, with the same dream of providing safe drinking water. We install community water treatment plants in urban slums, and then we decided to go into the iBot control system. Well, we wanted to see how we could connect up better with the customers and also reach out to places which is far away from our regular operations. So Internet of Things was primarily to help our consumers to ensure that the units run non-stop, continuous, and also helps us monitor the health of the machines. We have implemented this in our railway kiosk at various railway stations, about 150 locations, which helps us monitor the condition of the unit, the amount of water dispensed, and it also helps us monitor the time for replacement of the consumable filters, etc.
Highlighting the importance of whether the Internet of Things brings in a good return on investment, a panel of experts from across fields put forward their thoughts about the same.
Shirish, your take on how do customers think about extracting business value from IoT?
Right. Basically, ROI comes from use cases of IoT. Okay. And as it happens, in one function or in one unit, you don't have like 50 different use cases. You have 1 or 2 use cases where the real value is coming out. The challenge there is that if you want to do that, you have to go completely vertically and implement everything in IoT. So it starts from sensors up to the analytics. And that sometimes is overwhelming. The cost of the horizontal platform, okay, that if you use it for just one use case, it doesn't give you the return on investment. So if you calculate it that way, that is definitely going to be a challenge.
Sanjeev, I want to just ask, like, when you went about this model and there was no clear ROI upfront and you had more detractors than supporters, how should customers and others learn from your experience? What do they think and how should they start thinking about this model?
We all know that what gets measured gets controlled and monitored. If you don't invest, you don't know. You don't know. So since this internet use of information, assimilating it, converting it to meaningful reports is the way that manufacturing has to adopt in the near future. So you need to invest, then you will definitely get the returns.
There is one thread that also emerged in pretty much all the conversation that was consistent. It's who really is the buyer? And this is a question I would want Puneet to be able to give us some light. Does it really matter in terms of ROI, in terms of implementation, who the buyer is?
What we are experiencing with all our clients is that the buyers are actually the business decision makers. Most of the programs that KPMG normally gets involved are fairly at a transformative level because they involve group-wide. They're not very specific to a single set of machines or plants, basically. They would be operations that will span, not just India, they will span across the globe. In that environment, there are too many questions that need to get answered. It's not a straightforward technology question because you will have implications in terms of organization structure, you will have implications from security policies, you will have implications, how do you buy technology, you will have change management issues to take care of, different clients, and a diversified client, for example, in mines, power, ports, transportation, logistics, might be running different kind of business domains. So, will they go for a single IoT platform or do they really need to create a different architecture for their business? Hence, clients have too many questions on the table. And in that environment, what happens is it's not just the CIO organization. Obviously, they are the originators of the thought process, but it's the business who more often than not gets involved with the decision-making process. More so if a technology is very forward-looking. So I'll give you an example of technology which many of you know is Envimesh. LoRa is becoming more prominent these days, and with LoRa becoming critical for networking on large areas, it's not a question that just a CIO can answer because it's a fairly significant investment. The business would get involved because that's where the use cases will come from. So what we are experiencing is that the buyers are spread across. We have to influence a set of individuals, but clients, the decision makers are the CEOs or the promoters who eventually see value because of deployment of these technologies.
That's an interesting tag that you made, Puneet, where I want to get insights from Tarun on this one. As you look at companies and as you go about implementing solutions, and you have plenty of experience there, where do you think these delays are? What really causes some of these delays? And is it just a perception of ROI, or is it that people haven't yet figured out business value? What causes these delays in implementation?
Covaxis, we have launched with Microsoft Azure platform,
yes,
as you are aware of. We have launched 3,000 rupee per KPI per machine per month model. Trust you me that even for 3,000, most of the companies are taking more than a month to decide. I'm talking about 10,000 of dinner with your wife. So coming back to the harsher reality that why it is taking so much of time. So A is that many of us definitely want to make difference in the organization wherever we work. Because most of us are there, we are getting paid, and we want to make a difference, right? But the entire decision-making framework is such obsolete and old age that for 3, 4, 10,000 rupees of OPEX cost, I have to go and take permission of 5 different people. Maybe that will make them happy. Maybe that will not offend them. Maybe that is the need of my organization. That's the regulatory compliance of my organization. Now, this is something which we need to, this is where, and whenever there are a multiple stakeholder, typically IoT kind of environment, when we started with a CapEx model, which was that big bang, large investment, that would take 7 months. considering that, we said, okay, why don't we do a small modular fractional offering to the industry wherein you can pay as little as 3,000 rupee and taste the blood, right? But wherever, and we are seeing the difference in the decision tree, but whenever there are multiple stakeholders, you know, everyone has to be taken on board, everyone has to approve. That is something which is the bureaucracy and the political environment inside the company, and I'm using political environments underline, is very key, unfortunately, for India.
We are right now at the beginning stage, or sort of the early nascent stage of adopting these technologies. Like, this market is just getting warmed up. A lot of interest from Indian enterprises, a lot from the manufacturing, healthcare, and different verticals coming on board. But I think one thing that will dramatically change this is the building of the local ecosystem, local partners, ISVs, developers, solution providers who are actually going to build vertical applications and solutions that will help the businesses transform their business models and their current operating models, are the ones that will make this industry go mainstream.
The Microsoft and Economic Times Internet of Things Summit 2016 also focused on the integration of existing systems with new data sources to create either improved or new business models. Challenges were faced, but the results were overwhelming.
Mr. Mehta, help us understand how you, in your business, moved Internet of Things from being a thing of the future to a thing of reality that gets implemented. Tell us, what was the compelling business need for it?
Yeah, actually, the business need was, reducing the manufacturing cost. In today's world of, especially cable industry, there is huge competition. And we considered all the factors like raw material, the logistics, the manpower, the administrative costs, and at the end, we thought that we have to increase the productivity of the machines, the productivity of manufacturing. And that's how our solution provider, Pressometrics, they provide a solution with IoT, and that's how we implemented that.
All right, Mr. Vassal, time for your first question. I'm going to ask you a very specific one. People monitoring. Explain what exactly it means and why is it required in your organization?
I represent SR Steel, which is located at Hazira, the small place in South Gujarat. Now, this unit is manufacturing 10 million tons of steel per annum. At the outset, let me tell you, with this system implemented, it has really changed my outlook towards management of this entire workforce that was coming to the manufacturing hub. This was basically to identify people, to track them, not only from the perspective of security, but other stakeholders like safety, like their physical fitness, medical fitness to do the job, their skills to do the job, as also to synergize the entire effort of this 20,000 people which were coming in shifts.
All right, Mr. Colonel Vassal, we'll get to that. I'm going to go back to Mr. Mehta over here quickly. Tell us, when you were implementing Internet of Things, what were the roadblocks to the implementation of Internet of Things on the ground that you faced?
Yeah, basically the roadblocks that we faced, there was no network available on the shop floor.
Okay.
We have a huge shop floor where there was no network available. So we had to build our own independent network for the communication. Second thing, we have many machines that are old. They are more than 25 years old, where the technology is not available, like the PLC or the SCADA or the interface to connect the sensors. So we had to overcome that. We had to install some new electronics and communication devices. And the third and the most important is that I had to, do an inside sale and convince the production people that this is the need of our company to bring up the productivity. Otherwise, it's difficult for them to use it. So these were the
top three roadblocks. All right, so we got top three roadblocks. Colonel Bassal, I'm just going to get back to you. Tell us in specific, what are the differences and benefits of doing things the automated IoT Internet of Things way versus manual consolidation of data?
With this process, it is all available on your dashboard. You know how many people are there. So depending upon a mechanical or a electrical problem, that much people are available to you, skilled people, technicians available to you in-house. Then second big benefit which accrued from this was that entire head counts could be tracked. Then the third big benefit happened was that the entire commercial people who were part of my process, they got hugely benefited in terms of reduction of cost, in terms of reduction of contractual manpower. Then there were other bigger advantages, I would say, having a sort of paperless setup. When you comply with regulations, your brand value of your company goes up in the eyes of those, all those factory inspector or other people, such pollution control board, all this, because you had entire data, you had entire figures to support your, whether it was for safety, security, or for PF or their insurance and what have you.
Okay, I have a very specific question to bring this back to Mr. Mehta. All right, we just heard Colonel Bassal talk to us about the multivarious benefits, not just for his team, but for all the teams, and that's how we got everybody on board. Talk to us about the benefits at Finolex.
Yeah, the benefits basically, like I told you, we are able to now monitor the downtime of the machines, improve on the uptime of the running time on the machines. Then we have, improved, we have a data based on the feedback on the machines and the sensors, by which we are now trying to increase the productivity of the machines, trying to monitor the efficiency of operators who are actually operating the machines, and ultimately affecting, in a nutshell, the productivity and the cost of reducing the cost of manufacturing.
Mr. Mehta, Colonel Bassal, thank you so much for taking time out to have this Spitfire round with us, and thank you so much to the audience for sitting here and listening to us.